What up, folks? Damn, I'm excited to be here. Sander, how you doing, my friend? Welcome to the MikeyG and Web3 show. How you doing, brother?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to the chat we're going to have.
Oh, dude, we're going to have a beautiful chat. I've been looking forward to this. I actually have 2 streams today. This is a double dose of just enjoyment today. I'm super excited. Thanks for being here, man. Before we kind of get to you as a beautiful human being, this is the one tiny moment that I'm going to talk about myself for a little bit. Just so everybody knows, like I said, I do have 2 streams today. My man Logan, who does a lot of go-to-market stuff for Abstract, is going to come on. Another beautiful human being. I know people are loving Abstract, the platform. He's going to give us a behind-the-scenes look at Abstract. But in addition to, honestly, we're going to do what we're doing here with Sander, and we're just going to talk about him as a human. I think that's the most important thing that you can do and what people need to do more. We're literally here to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection, because I'm telling you right now, we're going to get even more connected. And what we're about to do is the most important thing. In addition to that, talking to other projects like The Miracle, Beautiful Human Being, so many, there's so many more. I will divulge that later on via tweets. In addition to, though, I hope that you've all seen this. I'm really going to be doubling down on the content, and that is going to be a plethora. I'm just going to try. I'm doing some like impromptu videos. I'm really making sure that all of the clips from podcasts like this come out, short form content, long form content. I really want to show you all the full breadth of what I do and engage with you more via my content. I was really just doing the podcast, but I want to do more. So you're going to see a lot more of me from the MikeyG side of content. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do talking about myself. The rest is straight up about my man, Sander. And so what we like to do here before we get deep, Sander, is like I said, we're going to go through your background. So the co-founder of, I'm going to try, but you tell me if I pronounce this right. Perxify.
Perfect.
Perxify, I nailed it. And what Perxify does is a commerce cloud for the Agentic Web. Just tell me about that, because that sounds like a lot of buzzwords, but what is it actually doing?
So in the simplest words, we are building Shopify that has a bunch of tools inside that help the brands grow with insights, and which is also built for the new agent or Agentic Web.
Agent AI-driven Shopify.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful way. And we'll talk about that later on, because I'm very interested in that. That sounds beautiful. And in addition, host the Banana Conference Global, organizing global agentic web and AI Web3 people. And the conferences are around the world, which is really, really cool. Previously built 2 supply chain startups, which, by the way, man, if you go deep in supply chain, you got a brain that I don't have, because that just sounds like a nightmare to me. Supply chain logistics, I hate it all. But he sold one and raised over $2.5 million in capital. So he knows a thing or two about starting a business as well. And here's the most important part. He's lived in South Africa, Silicon Valley, couch surfed across Europe twice, once extended a franchise to 25 countries in 6 months, traveling to 4 countries per month. So you know a thing or two about travel as well. How did I do on the introduction, buddy? Do you want to add anything else, or feeling good about that?
You nailed it. I couldn't have said it better myself. And to be honest, I'm already kind of blushing.
Dude, that is it. That is a really cool intro already. What I love about this is, even that experience alone is so drastically different from the last guest. And we're going to bring out just more new, beautiful insights. I honestly, what's cool about this, man, I get to go to school every podcast as well, too. Like, your experience is growing my mind and my brain. So I cannot wait to have this conversation. And with that being said, man, we're here. Like I said, not going to take that long, but we're at the world famous MikeyG and Web3 podcast question. Sander, how did you get to the seat you're sitting in today? Please give me episode 1, 2, and 3. Actually, I'm going to change it to chapter 1, 2, and 3, because as I use AI in the future to like parse this podcast down, it understands chapter a little bit better. So I'm just in real time making this change due to AI from a production standpoint. What we still do here is going to be the future. So chapter 1 is your childhood. Like I said, it's going to be vivid memories, parents or parental figures, mantras that they taught you. Were you a tinker? Did you play sports? We'll start there. Chapter 2 is going to be your professional career, schooling, and then we can talk about all of this awesome entrepreneurship that you've done. And then chapter 3 is going to be more like Web3 tech. Let's get into the Web3 world and the tech. And that's it. This is going to turn into about an hour and a half beautiful conversation. Let's start with chapter 1, man. Anywhere you want in childhood, hit me, and we're going to have a beautiful conversation.
Yeah. So born and raised in Pärnu, Estonia.
Wait. How do you pronounce that? Say that again to me.
Pärnu.
There's no chance I could ever pronounce that. Awesome.
Yeah,
so
that's fine. You can just call it Pärnu.
Okay.
And it's fine.
Pärnu.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Damn. I'm just nailing it on all cylinders. I'm amped this morning, man. I'm amped to talk. All right. So you grew up in Estonia. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, which is a small summer town just on the south of Estonia, probably closer to Latvia than to the capital of Estonia, which is Tallinn. And it has roughly around 50,000 people. So kind of in the world scale of things, in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So in Estonia, which for those that don't know anything about Estonia, then it's a country situated in the up north and eastern side of Europe, just below Finland, which is as far as northeast you can go in Europe.
Right.
Above Latvia, we do have a crazy neighbor, Russia, next to us as well. So I was born there into a loving family of entrepreneurs. The good thing is that throughout my childhood and still now, I have only been embraced by entrepreneurs. So I kind of always expected to continue in this trajectory. And at the same time, my both grandmother on the mother's side and great-grandfather on father's side were both tinkerers, one being ex-electrician, the other one just being a scientist, inventing things.
Yeah.
Throughout all my early childhood, I was constantly surrounded by tech. Plus, my dad was a huge Star Wars nerd and a Counter-Strike pro. So
your dad was a Counter-Strike bro?
Yeah. So we always had a computer at home.
Yeah.
Which meant that I was always surrounded by tech and IT.
So I have a question here because I'm a new father, right? And I think to myself, I just can't allow my kid in a room by himself playing Counter-Strike and Call of Duty. What is your thoughts there? Like, did you have your own computer in your room? Was it like a family room? Like, I'm interested in your experience growing up with a Counter-Strike dad bro and the impact of like, listen, it's still a violent game. You're playing war games, right? And then obviously the people online are toxic. Do you think that had an impact on you? Or is it the fact that you were playing with your dad, it was almost like you're reminiscing about good times? What are your thoughts there?
I think, first of all, at that time, there was much less toxicity in games. But in our case, like for many people in the early 90s, when I was born, the computer was kind of in the living room on a shrine. There's like a big box on a big table where you had the screen here in the middle, you had the speakers next to them, you
Right.
had the computer on your right arm, and then off you go.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to specifically Counter-Strike, no, it didn't leave much impression to me.
Right.
And obviously, at one point, I was also playing it myself, followed by Half-Life and everything else around that time. And then later, I at times was deep into Wolfenstein enemy territory,
Oh,
the classic.
love Wolfenstein.
But kind of, I think this is where my shooting game journey stopped. So after that, I have been a gamer for a while, not being a gamer and then being a gamer again, but mostly focused on either 4X games. Like starting with Age of Empires, these days, like Civilization 7, and also playing Super Mario, Zelda, all the classics.
Yes. So talk to me about this, because I want to tell you, man, I think we're like 98%, 99% of the people in Web3 or doing this tech stuff are gamers. So talk to me about the impact of gaming on your life at such a young age. And when you look back, now this is always going to be reflection, right? Like not in the moment you're enjoying it, but reflecting on how did video games impact your life?
I think combining with all the other types of media that I've been consuming, whether it's books, board games, movies, TV shows, and the video games, I have kind of understood that everything is a game, and I'm here to play the game. And in the end, whatever happens in life, there's always a chance that you can get up again and go and build it from scratch. In a sense, the whole having games be around me throughout my life and entrepreneurs around me as well has really taught me that whatever you do, you have to kind of take the risky moves at times in order to be able to get rewarded. And there's always going to be next time if this thing doesn't work, which doesn't mean that you shouldn't put your all in the first time, because getting to the point where you have this challenge again, going past all the obstacles beforehand, is not a kind of all fun and dancy moves. So you kind of don't want to fail. But if you do fail, that's fine. You just start from the previous save again.
Dude, see what we did here already? This is exactly what I'm talking about. I've never, like, this is a common principle, which is you get knocked down and you got to get up. But you realize this through video games because you have multiple lives, right? And you're playing multiple different genres, and you always got a shot to do it again. Like, that insight is fantastic, but you got there in such a different way than most people did. I love that insight. One of the things that I am interested in, though, and this comes up often, is this concept of pure success comes from ultimate risk. And you're younger than I am, obviously, just looking at our faces on camera. But like, as you get older, you get more responsibilities, have a kid, have a mortgage. So your risk becomes calculated. And so what I'm getting at is I'm a firm believer that you don't have to sacrifice everything to see profound success. So what is your thought between, jumping off a cliff, burning the bridges to get success, or someone like me who is side hustle that could turn into massive success in the future? Because you've probably done a little bit of both. Would love your insights there.
Yeah, I think similar to continuing the theme of games, if you go in the speed run and you just think that, okay, so I failed 4 times, now I'm going to do it faster. I'm just going to go through all the obstacles. I know exactly, jump, 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 and die again. And then try again and again and again. And you kind of learn that sometimes taking a slow path makes more sense, because then you have a chance to kind of do those things a little bit more methodologically. And I think from that side, I agree fully with you that it doesn't make sense to take stupid risk at all times. And it doesn't have to be full on the whole time, but sometimes you have to slow down. You have to think for a second. So, okay, I've been in a similar situation. Last time I kind of failed because I did that. So maybe this time I don't do it the same way. And being a father of two myself, with a mortgage as well, and everything else fun, I understand that yes, you have to take risk in order to get the reward, but sometimes you have to first plan and strategize, and then you can take it.
Dude, beautiful. And this is another point that I want to bring up that we talk about a lot is, I would love your insights and thoughts on this, is what I just heard from you is that life is grace, man. And why I love to have this conversation too is how you interpret risk and how I interpret risk is vastly different. And there's many different ways to get there, right? Like if I tell, when I first started this journey, I just defined risk what the internet told me, which was I need to drop everything and give it a shot, right? And so I wanted to be what we're doing right now, live podcaster, live video game player, and build a brand. And my thought when I first started was like, oh, well, I've been told I need to like quit my job, get the best equipment, and then do this 10 hours a day. And if I do that, I will be successful. That is the last advice I would give to anybody that is trying to do this, right? And so you just said that in a different way. What are your thoughts there? Do you kind of react the same way? Because but at the same time, there is risk in, my definition of risk is I intentionally took a step back in my career, right? I was senior level management at a tech startup. And then I specifically got a sole contributor role at another company, which I'm taking the risk to stunt my corporate career trajectory to have more free time to enable me to side hustle as well. So like that's a form of risk. I would love for you to explain a actual tangible example of risk that you've taken in your life, because I feel like we talk about this broad term risk, but we don't give tangible examples. So what would some be for you?
In a way, every time I start something, I start similarly to what you just described in the first step, which is not recommended, which is kind of, if I'm doing it all in, and it's half-assing. And sometimes it plays out right.
Yeah.
More often than not, you discover halfway through that maybe you didn't have everything figured out already, and you have to kind of start assembling the parachute halfway through, which is then sometimes scary. And then you hopefully get it solved. So the best thing that I have kind of been trying to do whenever doing anything is to ensure that I have some sort of minor safety net there. So I know that in the worst case, I have at least like 6 months runway. Or that I have some skills that's okay. If the worst comes to you, then I can just go and do some consulting work. Or if I'm traveling somewhere, and I have done this couch surfing type twice, where I didn't really know for a month where I was sleeping. I only did know that I had a flight to here, and I have a flight going out in another place. So now I just need to get there. And then you kind of know that in the end, you will, at this particular moment, you will have a chance to take this next step. That said, it has become much more hard now that I have kids.
Yeah, I was about to say, as life evolves, this does become so. This is a great follow-up. How has that evolved now that you have more responsibility? This is like that path makes sense to me when you're 20. And unfortunately, when I was 20, I was just caring about how hammered I could get in college. And it's amazing to me, this generation, about how forward thinking they are and business savvy they are at such a young age, right? It was not till my late 30s did I like kind of have my aha moment, and I was like, okay, I need to pull my stuff together and like find my passion. But how has that, now you have a family, 6-month runway with the potential to be homeless is a bit of aggressive move. So how has that changed your mindset?
Yeah. So one thing is it kind of makes it even more important to succeed,
Mm,
because before we had our daughter born over 6 years ago, I wrote down a list of 100 things I want to be doing with her when she's already in a certain age. Most of those things were kind of suitable for her being 7 and older,
uh-huh.
because that's when she would be remembering them. So all the
Right.
travel related things and all the
For sure.
theme parks to visit, etc.
Right.
So I kind of have had this time to get everything worked out.
Yeah.
That said, nothing has worked out in a way that I kind of planned 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So now that she just turned 6, and there's kind of like one last year before she starts going to school, I really need to kind of make sure that these steps that we do now are in the right direction. So sometimes we kind of have to take again one extra day of planning just to ensure that this is the kind of right way to do it.
Right.
And at the same time, it does bring some difficult discussions with both my parents as well as my wife on
Yeah.
like, okay, so Sander, do you really know that the thing that you're doing is the right thing to do?
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying whether it's something that I really want to do or that I just think is right, but kind of do I see that this thing has a chance of success?
Yeah.
And this is the part where you kind of can't just shoot bullets into the air and hope that it hits.
Yeah.
You really have to take a moment and think that, okay, so did I bring the right equipment? Do I have the right people around me? Do
Uh-huh.
I even have any potential chance of making it happen? And more often than not, people probably do not ask those questions, and therefore start building things which 2 3 years later they realize that, oh, so nobody was able to fund it, no one wanted to buy from us, no one gave us enough money, and we're also out of the funds ourselves,
Yeah.
and we have mortgaged the house, and we have kind of lost everything. And then you're like, okay, now it's wrong. So
Right.
we're kind of having kids makes you think that those things through beforehand, and also makes you understand that there is no way that I'm going to mortgage the house. Otherwise, my wife will kill me.
Exactly. But here's the most fascinating thing you said, and what I heard. What I heard was you have increased the amount of time that you plan. And so planning has become more of a critical element to your calculated risk. Is that spot on? Or have as your responsibility has gained, has planning become more a part? And have you seen a impact to planning to the ratio of your success, is my question.
Yeah. So I think in past I have just started running, and halfway through started figuring out whether it's the right direction
Right.
to which to run. And now with a bit of experience, it's a little bit easier to kind of already have the feeling that, okay, so is it actually the right direction?
Right.
And whilst doing that, then also, I think planning very much is a bigger part these days.
Yeah. And by the way, you heard it here, people. I firmly believe in this tactic. Even to you, and you even said it before that, right? Leading up to this conversation is you wrote down 100 things that you wanted to do with your daughter. That simple task, nobody does, right? Like no one is really thinking about detailed. And this does not mean, and you already said that, that's changed 100 times. But the art of writing things down, looking to achieve a goal, and just actually that thought process of detailing a plan, what you think success looks like. Because by the way, people also immediately jump to success means a lot of money and buying a big house. You know, success could be you have time to take 2 days and go on a fishing trip with your daughter. It is not very expensive, right? And so that all comes from planning and detailing. Dude, fascinating conversation already. We've like barely even scratched the surface. Like I told you, like you needed one sentence and we could talk for a long time. You also said multiple things before we got to this. Love this insight about planning and taking risks because this is a conversation everybody needs to hear. But you talked a lot about you lived a really cool childhood. And I would love to reflect on this part. Grew up in a remote little town, seems like kind of a picturesque town. You had a lot of creative influences as parental figures, mentors at a very young age. So could you talk to me about growing up in that environment with creative people, entrepreneurs, and tinkerers? Reflecting back, how do you think some of those traits are ingrained in you, and what are those traits?
Yeah, on the one hand, I think especially this great grandfather that was a tinkerer
Yeah.
really instilled the interest towards mathematics and physics and chemistry and everything else to me. Similarly, like he did previously to my father. And I think overall, like this very much instilled the part of curiosity to me that I still take with me these days, where my primary job in any part of life or any conversation is always kind of seeing what I have around me and then thinking, how can I really make it better? Or how can I build something cool with it?
Yes.
Meanwhile, the other side of the grandfather, who is very much a person that like puts sports hard in front of him, and who believes that you have to do things by hand, was something that I did not really kind of like that much as I was young. Yes, I did try a lot of different sports, and at a certain age, I was also playing tennis quite extensensively until
Tennis.
I did kind of until some injuries didn't let me do it. But at the same time, I really never felt that sports is my thing.
Okay.
There are reasons behind that as well, coming from the school age, but that's besides the point. So anyway, kind of at that time when I was super young, I didn't really value that part of him. However, by still having him there, making me put the wood into the shack and painting the chair that I had kind of ruined in some part, and kind of making this manual labor part, even if I was resistant to it, made me closer with him, and at the same time cherish all of this part a little bit.
Yeah.
I still kind of don't do it on a main thing because I understand that thinking and talking and writing is something which I'm just so much better at.
Yeah.
However, I do sometimes like it as a way of just Zen relaxation.
Yeah. And
Now, as you heard, then all of this was kind of focused on the grandparent side.
yeah.
And this is probably because as my both father and mother were entrepreneurs, especially father, then this meant that he had long nights and sometimes even had to be away for days or weeks.
Yeah.
Which on the one hand gave me the interest of also seeing what's there, because every time he took me with him to places, it was also always cool. I saw new people, new ideas, new opportunities. But at the same time, with him being away, I realized that for me to be closer to him, I need to be entrepreneur myself and kind of be in these circles. And why did I want to do that? Because many people, and my brother included, kind of took another part from this experience. Then from my side, one of the best memories I have from this entrepreneurial thing and what you previously described, this wealth side, is that neither of my grandfathers, great-grandfathers, had much. So they kind of were stuck in their home and couldn't really go in places. But my dad, as an entrepreneur, one time came home, like I think maybe 10 or 11 p.m. and said, so pack your things. Tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. we are going to the airport and flying to Cyprus for a week. And this thing that, okay, so in 5 hours, we're going to go on a trip. Was kind of the excitement that I realized that only an entrepreneur can allow themselves, both in terms of having the finances to do that, as well as the freedom sometimes to just take the time off and do whatever you want.
Right. You said so much there. There's so much to unpack. Thank you for sharing that. One of the things that I heard you say that I'm really interested in is there's many people that would have been in your situation and resented the parents because you felt lonely, right? And there was a lot of times where they were traveling and they wouldn't be around. But you interpreted it as, I wanna figure this out so I can spend more time and understand who they are as a human being. Reflecting back, can you explain where that came from? Was that more the urge to just be around your parents at that moment in time? Because I'm fascinated on how people react to different situations. So just your explanation on why you reacted the way you did. Any thoughts there?
I think you're full on that it was pretty much me wanting to be closer with my dad.
Yeah. And I think here, then the question is, this is back to now you're a father, you're being an entrepreneur. And I think I'm a big believer in balance, right? And so how do you this is an example of risk and sacrifice. So you know how this impacted you as a younger person. How do you think about that now, being a father? Like, do you think you're striving to have more balance, or you're just willing to take that risk and sacrifice, knowing that the fruits of your labor will eventually give you that time to go to these 100 things that you want to do with your daughter? Like, what is your reflection now there? Because you have a really interesting situation that a lot of people have not had, which is you felt the impact of your father traveling a lot, long nights when you were young, but now you are that father. And you are doing or striving to strive at the same thing. How do you think that has impacted and changed your mindset?
Well, I'm a builder at heart, and someone that, like my forefathers, kind of cares about the legacy that I'm leaving in terms of not just what I'm doing for the family, but what I'm doing for the larger community.
Yeah.
Therefore, I never really even had the thoughts that should I have in any way more balanced life and be home more. Yes, I do cherish all the moments when I'm at home. Yeah. And even yesterday, we had a few hours at home where we didn't have much to do. So we opened a couple of boxes of new board games and played one with my daughter, and cherished this time fully. But kind of my thinking there is that I have to be a great example, both in terms of showing both at home and elsewhere that I'm a hard worker and I do things. At the same time, ensuring that whatever I'm doing is something which, at least in her eyes, would be seen as good. So that she would kind of see those examples as good.
Yeah.
And even when it's hard times, try to still show her that anything she wants is possible. Sometimes not right away, but if she is willing to work for it, then we're happy to work towards her goals together as well.
Dude.
And therefore, no, I have never really tried to get a balanced life. I've rather wanted to just make it even bigger than my parents did.
Yes. And what you said was a beautiful thing, which is, I think there's some of the most important traits that you could teach a young person, which is resilience, creativity. You always can get back up and try again. But also the other thing that I heard that I want to talk about is, yesterday you were saying you're playing board games, right? But what I heard from that was actually being in the moment and present. So what is your take on the importance of like mindfulness, knowing that these moments that you have with your daughter and your family maybe are more, since you're traveling and you're an entrepreneur, maybe appreciating those times more? Because one of the things I read all the time of, I've interviewed 100 people that are 85 years old. What do they value most? And it's these micro moments of just like living in the moment, being around people you care, you love. What are your thoughts and reflections on that?
First of all, I'm not perfect.
Yeah, of course.
In a sense that, like most people these days, I probably do spend somewhat too much time online. And I'm very easy to get stuck in work and just even at home, I work for like until 2 a.m., not doing much else. That said, in the back of my head, I constantly, while at home, try to look that unless I'm on a deadline, then whenever either my kids or my wife seem to be longing for some time, or if I've seen that for the last few days they have been just doing some things like mindlessly watching cartoons as well, then I just try to take the moment when I have it and focus on doing something together.
Yeah.
For that reason, I have, for example, made sure that we have this subscription of a Kivika thing, which is this educational box that comes every month for the kids, where they have different tasks that they would have to be doing, very like organic materials, science or geography or food focused. And as it comes on a monthly basis, then we at least once a month take this time with her to do those tasks.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I know that I have to do it, and I know that this is what she will be remembering down the line, and this is what will affect her when she's going to be my age or even just a teenager. And if I want to have the same relationship I had with my parents, then I need to at times invest my time in her. But the best part is that I can make her kind of get interested in the similar things that I like, such as board games, such as video games,
Yes.
and etc. So
Yeah.
we play Mario Kart, we play board games, we put together Legos. So all the things I used to love as a kid, I just now have kind of kept putting in front of her. So she has started to like those as well. Not sure if it's just that she likes it or she knows that this is the way that she gets attention. Whatever it is, it works.
You know, are you excited for the Switch 2? Are you going to get that?
Let's do that.
So dude, amazing conversation. We really haven't even gotten to chapter 2 yet. This is the last question I'll ask, or the insight. It is more of a statement. It's not a question. You can kind of comment on it if you want. What I love about what you just said is you were really real and honest, right? It's that, and I think everybody that is an entrepreneur has a side hustle, like, you know, what we're trying to do, you're constantly struggling with that, especially when you have a kid, which is like, how do I sacrifice and balance these moments? Because all I want to do is build, but I know how important family is. And I think it's just a struggle that we all have and that you have to live with your whole life. And I think it's going to ebb and flow and balance. But just the fact that you peeled back the layer of the onion and said, this is a struggle I have, was a fascinating, great insight. Because I think a lot of people in our situation internalize that a lot, but it needs to be talked about. And the fact that you then were also vulnerable and said, I'm not perfect. And my question to you around this subject is, how do you deal with that struggle? Is there anything that you do, or do you just constantly have internal self-conversations about making decisions or debating your next move? What's the question? What's the thought there?
Yeah, so I think there's a bunch of things that we're constantly juggling in order to keep the balance. We have to think about our own health. We have to think about us kind of constantly evolving and getting latest information. Also, just like downtime of when I can just shut everything down and relax. Then there's the family time. Then there's the being with friends. Then it's with the larger family of parents and grandparents and visiting everyone. Then there's the need to travel. Of course, you need to eat as well and sleep, apparently.
Right.
And then there's that you actually have something that you really want to be building. And then for some, it's also that you have to actually earn money as a side as well. It's easy if you're able to earn money while doing the impact that you want to do, but for many this is even a harder balance. So in my case, when in my early 20s, I kind of tried to put it into my calendar to have all those slots separated in there. These days I still have this calendar in my calendar. However, I'm not looking at it on a strict basis, because I understand this is kind of too ideal to be getting there. Because even if I would want to go to the gym every morning at 6 a.m., then I have to take the kids to kindergarten at 8. And I actually should sleep 8 hours to be healthy. Yes. So as a result, there's kind of those things where you know that, okay, so today I can go to gym, not at 6, but at like 8:30. But I only have 1 hour to do it, because then I have a meeting. So it's constant juggle like that.
Right.
It's what I do try to keep in the back of my mind is to have some metrics for myself, such as at least 3 times a week going to gym, at least once a week playing board games with friends, at least once a quarter visiting all the grandparents, then having this 1 or 2 days where I'm able to spend time with the kids in the evenings plus the weekends. And then kind of like all those things are constantly the metrics that I'm trying to see. And again, it used to be that I had this strict KPI or calendar. These days, I'm just trying to keep it in the back of the head. And then what I do is at the end of each year, I write a blog post publicly about the last year, where I go deep into all the metrics and I check all the different numbers that I've set myself, and then see where did I do right and where did I do not that good.
Dude, that is fantastic. I need to suck up a lot of that. And you promise me you got to send me your last blog post, because I absolutely want to read that. And you've metriced your life as well too, which I think people are actually doing again in the background. They're telling themselves, I need to go to the gym, I should spend more time with family, I do need to go socialize with my friends. You're actually putting it down on paper. And this is yet another example of I've hearing you. And this is, I just made a little short about this, about how easy it is to make flour tortillas. And they're so much better if you make them at home. It's literally 4 ingredients. It takes a half hour, 45 minutes, massive. But it's the art of doing it. And what you've done and talked about multiple times is, if you have these thoughts and you write it down and actually put substance to it, it's so much more impactful. Like, people, this is such a great and probably the best lesson that we've talked about so far is take it out of your head, put it down, do something, make it reality, because that impact is going to be so profound and literally change your life if you continue to do that. Any thoughts there? Agree?
Yeah, it's hard to start and hard to continue. But if you really check back on you at least once a year, then you can course correct. And I think this is the problem that we often do, is that yes, on the New Year's Eve, we are making promises for what I'm going to do this year. But what we are missing is that we're actually not looking back on the last year and really looking at all the metrics. One year, my mom made us all write down some promises during the Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
And next year, she actually brought them out and asked everyone to rate themselves. This was painful. You really have to put yourself the key performance indicators down there and then look back at them. That's how you know if you're on the right track or not.
That is beautiful, man. And I will say my reflection on that is, the one year that I had one of the best years of my life, me and my wife, we did the dream boards, right? The vision boards on New Year's Eve, and literally put it in our bedroom and posted pictures of the things that we wanted. And looking back that next year, we did them all. It was beautiful, right? Because every morning I woke up, I was looking at that damn dream board and the pictures of what we were trying to accomplish. And I need to start doing that more. I mean, it's a beautiful habit.
So if you did everything, then you must have dreamt too small.
Exactly. That's another accomplishment. And I think that would be an outcome of doing that every year. I think that dream board would get bigger and bigger. And then maybe the goal is, to your point, I'm going to make this thing so big, I know probably in the back of my mind, I'm only going to get 50% there. But that is just a way to continue and stretch yourself as well. Beautiful insight, man. Let's do this. I think we talked a lot about like entrepreneurship and stuff. There was a lot that goes into chapter 2, right? We're going to reset here. We're constantly climbing in viewership. I would love to get to triple-digit viewers. We're about 75 viewers now. Comment, retweet, like, do all the things. Come over to Abstract and have a conversation with me. Everybody watches on Twitter. I get it. This is the place where a majority of the content lives that I create. It makes sense that you're watching here, but come to Abstract because we can actually talk, have some comments, and I will naturally weave this in. But let's move on to chapter 2. And here again, I'm really interested in failures and insights gained. We talked a lot about that. You know, yes, successes are great, but the failures in these insights are really the thing that help progress people when they listen to this conversation. So you can touch on school, if you went to school, what you were interested in, kind of like that core first passion that you had. And then let's talk about some of these businesses you built and learning lessons through there. So cannot wait to hear this part, man.
Yes, I did go to school, kindergarten, and all the 12 years of school, and even 3 years of university.
Yeah, I was more talking about university, right? Because we're a little later on in life.
Yeah, that said, my actual kind of schooling started when I was 14.
Ooh.
And that was when my father had, together with my mom, they had started building a new business, which had some network marketing element, which also meant that there were different adult educational events that they started going with. And since I wanted to be with them, I started going to those with them. Even though they were generally 18 plus, but as I was quite tall, then no one really asked questions. And I think this is where the real entrepreneurship and kind of having the values in the right position started instilling in full. Like I had all this background from growing up, but this was when my father started giving me not just let's say Star Wars books, but rather the different types of psychology and economics and just kind of how to win friends and influence people type of books.
That is, by the way, just got to cut in. If you all have not read that book, it is a must read. Such a beautiful book. All right, keep on going.
And I would just add here that Dale Carnegie's second book, which is Speaking and, or let me think, what's the name of it? It's something about speaking, which is even better because one thing that we must know as individuals is that whatever we're doing, we are constantly selling. That's the only thing we're doing. We're either selling ourselves or we're selling some products. And in all of this, it's important to know how to communicate. And at the end of that book, Dale had written that the best thing you can do is you can join a speaking course or a debate club. And that's what I did. I actually, even though the middle school that I was going for was science heavy, I decided only based on that book that I need to be joining a debate class. I first went to the debate class in the same school that I was going to, and they said I can't join it yet for whatever reason. Then I kind of decided, okay, so I'm going to be choosing my high school only based on which had the best debate class in town. And I went to their teacher, having a discussion, can I join it? And got involved there. And this pretty much has been one of the key drivers for everything since, because like previously I was yes, someone that's tinkering stuff. I'm interested in things and willing to talk to people, etc. But I'm not sure that without this skill of debating, I could be sharing complex ideas these days as well as I am doing them now. Even though most of the debate topics that we were debating on are kind of maybe more political and less business oriented, but then both the working through lots and lots of materials in order to get the arguments ready, and then later having to going there in front of the judges and really delivering that. Those two parts were crucial for me. And actually, this was something that I also made sure that my now wife, then girlfriend, went through as well. And I think that her public speaking skills have been getting great as a result of that as well. Which then gets us to the university, where I always thought that I wanted to go to study science. But since I did this segue of going to a humanities-focused school in high school, I knew that my science level wasn't as great as needed in order to get into the Cambridge and Warwick and all the great schools in the UK that I wanted to go. So instead, applied through the political, economics, and sociology side. Unfortunately or fortunately, I did not get accepted into Cambridge. I was pulled and then not taken out from the pool. I did get offers from the others that I applied to, but I was kind of feeling so much as a failure not getting into Cambridge. So I said no to all of the other ones, which was again great because otherwise I wouldn't have stayed together with my then girlfriend, now wife. And then I stayed in Estonia, where I realized that in Estonia I did not want to study science, for the simple reason that I knew that our focus in university is a little bit more on theoretics, and I wanted to do practical things. Meanwhile, my dad said that whatever you do, do not study business or economics in the university, because as an entrepreneur, this is the least important skill for you. You can learn it on the way. So I figured that maybe studying law and continuing this debate thing would make sense, because then I would at least understand the regulations and rules and everything else around business. And if something bad happened, I could wiggle myself out. So I went to study law. I still did a kind of second degree in business and took a lot of courses in IT as well. And started building startups there. But yeah, so that's the getting into university.
Dude, beautiful. And you said a couple things. One, I want to confirm the book, Public Speaking for Success by Dale Carnegie. Is that the one?
Yep.
Yes. So actually, we had a comment from the audience just to confirm that was it. I have not read that book yet. Also, he has a book, by the way, about how to stop worrying and start living. Totally going to read that. But yeah, I just wanted to confirm that book because the audience was asking. And then two, one of the insights that I heard that I'm interested in and want to know if you've applied this to entrepreneurship and just in life in general. What I heard is you were starting to go to school and then you realized it wasn't practical for entrepreneurship. So you went into law because there's actual practical implications there. That thought process, I think people miss. I think a lot of people do things because the internet or the world tells them they should do it, and that's how you acquire success. But what I heard is you made this pivot to say, I need to build skills that are going to actually apply to what I'm doing. Is that correct? Do you have any reflections there?
Yeah, I think that especially when it comes to studying, then it makes sense to study things that you on the one hand see as practical, but at the same time are things that you cannot take yourself without first kind of going to the university, like without the world-class experts. So for example, on my end, I had been doing a lot of blogging and marketing already whilst I was 14 years old. So it didn't really make sense for me to go and study marketing. And as I said, business was something my father said not to go to study. So then I was thinking, okay, so what else could be something that I could actually be using and would be interesting as well. And then whilst I was there, then my thinking was that if I'm already in university, then I should go all in, like as much all in as possible. So in our case, it means that you have to take 30 credits per semester, which is kind of like maybe 6 or 7 main courses, and then you have to take 1 or 2 extra courses outside of the main program. But I figured that what if I just take everything that's interesting and available for me? So instead, every year or every semester, I registered myself to up to 90 credits, knowing that I would not finish all of them. I knew that I have this couple of weeks time where I can just show up, see if this is actually what I wanted to learn, and then if not, then drop out. And as a result, on average, I still finished something around 54 to 60 credits every semester. And again, I wasn't a good student in the sense of showing up to every class at all times. I figured that everything that I can learn from the books, I'll just learn from the books, and I'll only show up for the most interesting seminars. And as a result, my grades were all mostly A's and B's. So all good. And I got to see all the different sides of life that I wanted, whilst of course enjoying all the university life as well.
Yes. And I think that's a big impact too, right? Is that socialization. And you've touched on this a couple times. And I think this is very important. And I've done a bad job of this in the sense of, well, not a bad job. Listen, when you have a newborn baby, you are locked in the home. Like you have to take care of keeping a human alive. But now that my son is only taking one nap a day and I have a little bit more flexibility, really getting back into these social circles. And that's part of university life that is critically important as well, because you're young, you're learning how to socialize. I mean, you look at anything, how important socialization is, like even when you have a pet, right? Socialization in that first year for a pet, for them to understand how to behave in public is massive, right? And there's no difference between humans. The socialization, we're very social human beings, is very, very important. I do love the insight though of you looked at it as the books is actually where the information is, but there is something to be said about somebody interpreting that and having good lectures and seminars too. So you made sure to maximize both. I honestly have not heard anybody describe school that way. So props to you. And I just think I wanted to call that out because I think that has good insight. Let's move into entrepreneurship, man. I'm really, really interested in, and let's touch on, obviously you don't have to go business to business. By the way, we've been talking for like an hour at least at this point, and we still need to get to chapter 3. I would love though to touch on handful of entrepreneurship experiences. And again, here, failures and aha moments and insights. We've actually talked about a lot about growing an entrepreneur and as an entrepreneur in the sense of whether, this whole debate about risk was a fascinating concept. I'm more interested in this section about insights and failures of skills or insights you've had that you have applied later on to future businesses. So go wherever you want there.
So when I was still going through this high school university process, then this was the time when Uber and Airbnb were just getting started. And I actually wrote a thesis on sharing economy based on all of that. And later in university, there was a course where we had to take a couple of developers and start building a startup. So I was great to have 4 developers that joined my team, and we started building something that I had come up that we have to do. And at that time, we were looking at, okay, so sharing economy is what we want to do, but statistics show that doing things where you would do the normal thing that even today people are trying to build, that always is this sharing platform for unused tools. So that would not go. There's a million reasons why it doesn't work, but we kind of figured, okay, so if this doesn't work, and if we aren't going to build our own Uber or Airbnb, what else could we do? And we thought that because of my parents' background business in furniture and design and construction kind of industry, I wanted to go in there and figured that let's make it easy for people to find construction workers online in a sharing economy platform way. We got through the course, all good. We got accepted to this student accelerator where they gave us like 2,000 investment to carry on. And the same summer, I also went to Silicon Valley to Draper University, this 6-week program by Tim Draper in San Mateo, where he brings together kids of 16 until like 30. And they all get to meet all the Silicon Valley legends and go through a bunch of exercises. And then on the second day there, after we had been building this thing for like half a year or something, Tim comes to me, asks me to pitch the whole thing, listens, and then asks, so So think that you're building. Is it in your heart or in your head? Don't answer. But if it's in your head, stop. So I didn't answer. I went into the elevator, went to the upstairs to pick my phone, called the team, and said that we're shutting this down today. And the worst thing that happened was that everyone cheered. And I was like, "What do you like?" And apparently, they had never wanted to build it, but they did not know how to say no to me. And it was kind of two learnings there. One being that you really kind of need to think what you're actually building, and it doesn't make sense to waste time building things that you actually don't feel in your heart that are the right things for you and the world. And the second thing is that sometimes people have the tendency to kind of generate this reality warping or reality distortion field around them, making others do things which they actually don't want to do. And as a result, if we would have carried on, we probably would have failed doing it. So even if it would have been the right thing to do. And the learning there is that it's really a team play. And especially in this early stage, you have to make sure that everyone's voices get heard and that they are willing to say their truth out as well.
Dude, unbelievable insight there. The one thing that I love about what you said, and I want your opinion on this because there's actually varying opinions. You cannot convince me otherwise. To acquire true success when it comes to business, even life, you have to feel within your soul and your inner being that you believe this is, one, going to make an impact on the world, and then two, you're insanely passionate about it. People always debate, how much does passion weigh on success? You just can't convince me otherwise that like to get through the hard times, if you don't have this passion and understanding and belief that what you're doing is making an impact both for yourself and for the world, you're going to be hard pressed to succeed. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, my personal belief is that if I'm not waking up and going to sleep with the thought that this is the most pressing thing that I'm currently doing and I need to be doing, then first of all, I know that if I'm doing anything else, it will start making me feel bad internally. I'm thinking like, so I could be doing that, but I have to do this. And it makes me feel bad that I have to do this. And unless you're getting this feeling with all the other things, then probably it's not the real thing for you. But at the same time, I do believe that unless you are living and breathing this particular thing, there's no way that you can actually make it happen. Because you're going to be surrounding yourself 8, 10, 16 hours a day for the next 5 to 10 years or even 20 years just on that. So if you don't fully understand and want to understand and constantly learn about it, it doesn't make sense to carry on.
You know what you just said? You brought another massive, massive insight, which is how long do you do something to succeed? What is your thought there? Because you just said 5, 10, even 20 years. I think people think in 6-month chunks at this moment in time. And I think that is a grave mistake as well. So talk to me about consistent work over a long period of time and what that means to you.
On the one hand, I understand that in most cases, you need to show some impact and some results in short time. Because if you start doing something and you can't show any impact within the, let's say, 1 month or 2 months, then most likely you'll start doubting in yourself. However, in some cases, when it's really the thing that you care about, it could be prolonged. But at some time, you still have to kind of say that, okay, so we have done this for a year, there's been nothing. Is it really the right thing? And that's where the small term is also important. However, I have yet to see anything that has been built within a short period of time that has lasted for a long period of time. It's possible that you're able to build something and get a quick exit of a few millions or more in a short term, especially now with the AI building a bunch of things and people getting excited, etc. But this is kind of the lottery, and sometimes you win, but mostly you lose if you're going at it in this mindset. Meanwhile, for those that are really going at something which they do see the short-term results as well, and they see that there is a long-term need, this is the way that you're able to carry yourself through the hardship, because most things are much harder than you initially anticipate. There's going to be co-founder or team breakups or just arguments. There's going to be financial trouble. There's going to be sometimes trouble by having competitors, I don't know, sue you, or your customers not pay you, etc. And it means that if you're already picking the entrepreneurship road, there will be hardship. And if you're not able to go at it knowing that it's going to take time to do that, then of course, as an educational thing, it's still good that you do. And I do believe that even every 4-year-old start the business, even if it's just a lemonade stand, just to see what it is. But for building anything great, it's going to take some time to get there. And then once you have already built it, then why would you just throw it away? Now that you have the Ferrari, go and enjoy it. So now that you have built the business, just keep on building it. So at least from my side, whenever I'm starting anything, I always try to make this the thing for the next decades.
Dude, love the explanation. My practical example is this podcast, right? I started off streaming video games. I just knew I wanted to get in front of the camera. I had no clue what I was doing. Then I found NFTs and then transitioned into what we're doing this day and age. That's taken years. And even now, the sales part, that I'm horrible at that. I lead through empathy. I am very uncomfortable asking for things, but it's part of a business, right? And I think you have two options. You find somebody that's really good at it to do it for you, or you become that person, right? And so, but that's taken me years to get to these insights. But to your points, I never quit because I am firmly convinced this is why I've been put on this earth, to share my love and empathy with other human beings, and for other human beings to understand that it's a fundamental principle that will save this world. Because we see the other ways it's going right now. So thank you for sharing that insight. One question, and then we'll get, let's say we're going to have 20, 25 minutes here to be cognizant of time, and I have a hard stop of a meeting. Do you have a hard stop? Can you go another like 20 minutes?
We can go.
Perfect. So any other entrepreneur story and an insight that you want to share? If not, we'll kind of transition to tech, AI, Web3, kind of the conferences and stuff that you've built, because I'm interested in that as well.
So if we just go in quick steps, I'll just mention, if you want, we can dig deeper. But the story carries on that coming back from this Silicon Valley thing, I was invited to work at one accelerator, to which I also invited my father with his new startup, which 10 years ago was in supply chain. So that's how I got into all of this, where we had this case where we went to a garage hackathon where 8 people started building something. And we did the mistake number one most people do. We made all the 8 people co-founders, only to realize that 2 of them did not carry on just after that already. The 6 people that then joined the accelerator, out of them, 2 people left 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, trying to say that, oh, we can build it ourselves without the others. And they carried on. So it's like having massive amount of people to get started with and thinking that they would all have the same weight. This taught me that people never carry the same weight. There might be 1 or 2 that are able to carry a similar weight, but sometimes 3, but it's never going to be 6 or more people doing that. Anyway, long story short there was that eventually we sold the company, but halfway through, I actually had a breakup with one of the co-founders, the CTO, where we kind of agreed that our ways did not match. And even though it was a company where my father was the CEO, I decided to leave. And it wasn't easy. Made me not feel good, but it was what it was. At that time, because I had been doing marketing within there and fundraising also. So that's the company where we first raised $500,000 or so over a course of a few rounds. Then I was approached by the guys that, or one of the guys that was behind Skype, that was now building a robotics company.
Nice.
And he said that, oh, Sander, there is this robotics event in Estonia. I want you to go and help them because I need more robotics talent in Estonia. Can you help them attract them? And he gave me a budget, and that was how I asked him that, do I have to do marketing or can I just spend it all on traveling? He said, do whatever it takes. So I went on a world tourney on going to all the robotics events, finding the people there who had the most shiny eyes to kind of sell them on the idea that, ooh, what if you could set up a event here? We would give you all the support, everything, just to start, and you can bring up to 10 of the best people from your country to this championship that will be in Estonia. That was great fun. 2 years of that.
Beautiful.
Until one day, the lady who was the CEO of that had a kind of trouble keeping the eyes on the finance. And at one point, the organization was quite much in debt, where essentially, and that's something that events always kind of seem to be doing, where I said that, okay, 2 options. Either I'm going to take over and take care of that, or I'm leaving because she hadn't been paying some of my bills by that time as well. So we did not agree, and I ended up leaving, which was actually a good thing. One thing it taught me that whatever your role is, if you're the face of the organization in some form, you have to make sure that the finances are in order. And even if this is not your main role, you just have to understand what it is and maybe cut back on some spending, maybe focus yourself on more selling if you know the right numbers. That's it. It was a good time because COVID hit. And my wife, who we had just recently married at that point, said that she is expecting. So we're kind of like, okay, so if I haven't been paid for the last year and we're kind of out of funds and now we're on a lockdown, what shall we do? So we set up a marketing agency together and kind of like a CMO as a service. And we built this up. It was good, great money. We never wanted this to become a big agency. We just wanted it to be kind of something that where we can help companies get their earnings up and at the same time make money ourselves. We had some friends helping us with some specific services, but we always knew that this was not kind of be the long-term thing for us, or at least not for me. And that was the time when, by that point, the CTO from this previous startup had left as well because he couldn't keep on with the startup life anymore. And so my father asked me to come back. But since we were out of funds in the company, we started figuring out, should we be shutting it down or selling it? And we made a marketing campaign by the end of which we managed to sell the organization. And then this new organization that bought us, we helped them fundraise another $1 million before we decided that it was time for us to carry on to do something new, which then got me to Web3. Because that was where, in this robotics thing, we had already been going a little bit beyond and looking into AI. I was even able to interview Greg from OpenAI back in 2018 when it was still OpenAI Model 1. And it was great times. And I had even for a brief while tried building some AI startup myself. But anyway, so then Web3 was also part that we kind of gotten interested in, and I had the chance to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum when it was at the lowest in this COVID time, and then kind of got invested and deep into it. So now, after this 6 years of supply chain story, we figured that let's build a new supply chain startup on blockchain. So
All right, I gotta cut in here.
That's where I cut, because we are now in the.
That's where you cut. Now we're getting into chapter 3. I only really have one question because you've shared a lot of insights throughout this. One of the struggles that I heard more often than not is people. And this is a huge subject, right? Looking back now, when it comes to co-founders or being a leader and the people you surround yourself with, what are the traits that you value most?
On the one hand, I do value people who are as much different from me in the skill sets as possible, to ensure that we can have as little people in the core team as possible that would be able to cater all the necessary jobs to be done. Because of the reason that I know that if it's too many people, then at some point people will start waning off, and maybe also if times get tough, then we wouldn't be having all the skills necessary to continue moving. At the same time, I also value seeing that the people that come together in a team have somewhat similar life experiences and expectations, as well as share similar values. So with my current co-founder, even though we are like roughly 10 years apart, he's older. He has senior technical experience. I'm more into the marketing and fundraising and product side on the kind of human level. We have some overlapping parts because he's also interested in this how humans work and how to design products part. But the biggest part where we are similar is that we both are fathers of 2. We both have seen some success and some failure. We kind of understand that this time we want to be doing things our way, where we don't want to take unnecessary risk and involve the wrong people too early. And we want to be laying the foundation first. And once everything is working, then we're happy to involve everyone, but kind of like we want to make sure that the foundation is strong. And this is the part where I have always had investors in the early stages asking, so how do you know the co-founder, and like how well are you sticking together, etc. And now I really understand what changes if you are not just building something together, but you're also sharing some life experiences together. You are kind of making your families get together. You are playing board games together, because in the end, as they say, co-foundership is kind of marriage in itself as well. So if you're not liking each other, then it's hard to get started. That said, regardless of everything, as a leader of an organization, you need to be on top of everything. You have to kind of have the kind of clear understanding of both the finances, but also have each other constantly show what you have been doing and how you've been doing. Not going like nitpicking, but kind of have a full understanding and making sure that if someone's falling behind, then you understand why. Because mostly it's human reasons. Mostly it's because something else is holding them back, and maybe then you can help each other to solve it, and then you can go on bigger.
Love it, man. And I think the 2 things I want to reiterate and what I heard is, 1, diverse skill sets is massive, right? And even better if you have diverse upbringings, because it just gives different perspectives. You know, for instance, Bubble and I, Asaf, who introduced us, right? We've lived very different lives, but we are so aligned personally, and we push each other. and he has an amazing skill set, which overlaps a little bit. Like, I know design thinking, I know product marketing, I understand how to empathize with the customer and how important it is, but he is insanely good at that. And then I bring, the design marketing experience. I'm kind of more of the face of the things that we do. And so it fits into everything that you say. I actually, and I've heard more than this, obviously understanding the finances too. I think there's a lot of people that just write that off. They're like, oh, I'm going to hire a CFO. I don't care what happens. And that's a grave mistake. But a lot of people that have gone through the series Raise and stuff that have been on this show still say, and I actually got a master's in, as weird as this sounds, tech and entrepreneurship at a university. And, all of our professors were from Silicon Valley, owned venture capital firms. And they insisted that it really, at the end of the day, boiled down to the human being understanding why they're doing what they're doing, back to this passion and drive that we were talking about, but then just believing in them as an individual. And it's almost like this it factor, unspoken thing that after you meet so many founders, you understand that this person has it or doesn't. Does that make sense to you? Anything to expand upon that, or you agree?
I agree.
I think it's that simple. And I think people need to understand that even if you have the best product market fit and you are going to make money, it will eventually fail. One, if you're not passionate about it. And two, if you are not just a good human being and interact with the people like you would want to be interacted with. Like, it's the golden rule, right? Treat everyone as you would want to be treated. And these things are so critically important at the end of the day. And that's what's always just so confusing to me, right? And it's not confusing. I understand life throws you so many curveballs. It's really hard to do the right thing when things are bad. But this all, at the end of the day, to me, boils down to just be a good person. Integrity is your number one thing. Whether it or like being integral or holding integrity as the highest could hold you back. But doing the right thing at the end of the day puts a smile on your face when you go to bed. And it's so, so important. And with that being said, we're on to chapter 3. Got about 20 minutes left. I want to take all of this to go to Web3. We have eclipsed the century mark. We're well over 100 people watching. I need you all, that the gravity of this conversation, I mean, we've dropped so many life bombs from deep diving on risk to what we just talked about, to success, passion, balancing family. All of these things are critical themes that if you want to build a business, you want to grow as a human being, you don't even have to be an entrepreneur. These are deeply impactful and profound, and you're hearing it from Sanders' point of view. I'm going to school. I've been going to school for the last hour and 28 minutes, and it's been a beautiful thing. Like, retweet, do all the things. I hate that I have to do this. And by the way, if you're listening to this podcast in the future as evergreen content, freaking follow, share, and comment on this podcast so I can actually bring that to the future people too. I just talked to the future. That was a beautiful thing. Let's get to chapter 3, man. So chapter 3, we're on the blockchain now. Take me through this journey. I'm really interested too. Like, give me the TLDR of like how you got into blockchain, but let's majority of the time talk about what you're doing now, what the future looks like, and what excites you about AI, Web3, the blockchain, and everything that you're dealing with.
Yeah. So 2020, March, everything crashes. That's where I got into actively looking into Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think this is the part where the only way you can be really involved in anything is that you have to either be working within it, or you have to be invested in it with money. So even though I knew of all the Web3 side much earlier. Back in like 2013-ish, we were first introduced to Bitcoin, and I believed it was a scam and didn't get involved. Back in 2015, I was playing around with something called earn.com, where you would click on random buttons and answer random questions and get paid in 15 cents of Bitcoin here and there. And then in 17, a good friend of mine was really saying that this Ethereum thing, that's the future, man. Invest in it. And then I saw him not make money by getting involved into all the altcoins. But then he gifted some altcoins to my daughter when she was born in 2019, and now 2020, I was there. And then, like all people, I started looking what else is there, understanding that on the one hand, tech is cool and can be used in different ways, but tech is kind of in the future. So what's there now? And started looking into altcoins, which was a stupid thing on financial level, but smart thing on the educational way. And then 2021 May, 4 years ago, I had been kind of introduced to the NFT concept with seeing what are not CryptoPunks, but the CryptoKitties, and how you can take two and make a third one. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But then a good friend of mine from high school days bought a Bored Ape and shared it on Twitter. So I was like, if he has it, I'm going to make the most stupid purchase of my adult life ever, and spent $1,700 on this stupid monkey JPEG and forgot about it for a few months. As we were just, as I mentioned, starting this new logistics-focused blockchain thing, where we were essentially trying to do what VeChain is doing, for those that know, but for kind of more regulated and European way, and in parts more private. So we essentially wanted to build our own communication layer between all the different logistics companies, transportation companies, manufacturers, etc. And we were designing it out. And then over the summer, as I saw this NFT, this stupid monkey JPEG, grow in value and see more of this in the Thotis, I was like, maybe this NFT thing actually has some real thing in it. And that got us thinking that, okay, so if we are currently in the planning of this blockchain thing, and we need to find first funding, and we understand that in blockchain or Web3 world, you first have to build a community. What if we did this with NFTs? So we designed a collection of trucks and ships and planes, and said that anyone that buys those and gets into the private chats about us building this supply chain blockchain, and maybe at some point you will be able to get to be the first ones to use it, and etc. So we got some money out of it that helped us to start building this company. My mistake number one was that I did not take any money out for myself. So even though we, I think, over the course of everything, raised $1 million selling those JPEGs, I didn't take out more than maybe $5K by just paying myself. So that was stupid, like super stupid. And the second stupid thing was that I, coming into the industry, thinking that everyone values transparency, we kept all of our funds in Ethereum. So it was all good as Ethereum price kept on rising. But then at some point, after we had been building things for over a year, and we came back from a company retreat where we had just made a plan for the next 12 months, knowing we have everything covered already, on the flight back, actually, as we were taking off, I read that, oh, Luna is collapsing. I was like, hope it doesn't affect us. By the time we landed, our runway was from 12 months to 6 months. So that was stupid. And then the third thing that was stupid was that we kind of caved into the community and figured that they wanted games, because everyone in Web3 with NFTs want games. So we took our developers and made them start building a game as they were building this supply chain blockchain. And instead of hiring any third party to do that, we did it ourselves, which actually meant that we couldn't be using the same time to build the blockchain and to be doing the business development needed. And instead, we were building a game. Initially, we tried to make it kind of as simple as possible and not invest too much, but eventually, community made us invest more than we expected. So that kind of wasn't smart either. That said, we did eventually build the basis of the chain as well, only to realize that fundraising was too hard by that time, and we had lost most of the funds in the Luna collapse. So unfortunately, the tech team that we had put together said that they can't survive on its own. So they had to leave, but we carried on for another year, hoping that we can do something between just me, my brother, and my dad, because my brother is a developer, without any funding, which wasn't smart because we lost time and more money. But we did learn throughout the whole process, and actually this course of time doing everything there, first of all, taught us how to do things in Web3 and what it really is. And at the same time, made us realize that we actually don't care about the supply chain angle, but we care about the e-commerce angle. So for 10 years, we had been doing supply chain in the hopes that it will help e-commerce. And then we finally realized that actually we can use this alongside with the AI side and build much better things for the e-commerce in a wider angle, which now has led us to building Perxify for the last year together with my co-founder Alvar. And we also have involved my brother as one of the devs who has the experience in developing Web3 as well. So it's a good exercise in all of this. So yeah, and now we're here building the Commerce Cloud.
The beautiful, beautiful journey. There's I have to hear, I heard multiple things like, hey, by the way, don't stake all your liquid capital in Ethereum because that is a movable asset. Like, bad idea. I actually vividly remember this, and this is probably the same time that happened when you were on the plane. The war had just broke out in Ukraine.
That was later. That was like 9 months later or so.
Okay, so this is another moment in time when that war broke out. All of a sudden, it just felt like the world was blowing up, and Ethereum just plummeted, right? And NFT Llama, if you remember that guy who created Llamaverse, publicly announced, I promise you I'm not scamming you, but I'm taking all the Ethereum and converting it to USDC. And that was like it was crazy to me because the space reacted like, why would you? How could you? Right? And it's like, this is a practical business decision, people. Like, you cannot stake your entire company's wealth in something that could drop 75% overnight, which it ended up doing, right? Like, it went down. Like,
this is the only money you have.
Yes, this is the only money you have. That moment in time, I think that movement dropped Ethereum down to like $900 at one point, from like close to $5,000, right? Like, you're losing 75% of your wealth, if not over more. So that's just a very large lesson that I think people have learned over time. I am interested, though, from a Web3 perspective, one or two insights from this journey that you just talked about that you haven't revealed yet.
Yeah. So one thing is that I firmly believe that using the blockchain technology makes sense, especially when you're dealing with multiple parties that do not inherently trust each other or aren't inherently connected. And it's a much better technology than building any type of aggregators in between. First of all, because the aggregators would be a kind of a much bigger risk in between, and they would be more expensive in between. So for most things, you don't need this type of aggregators. Of course, in some ways you might need, but yeah, so the technology is great. And along with that, I believe that as a result of whether we will succeed or whether someone else succeeds, the world will see a moment when across different stores, not only online but also offline, you will finally have a identity that will be the same both in the real world as online, where it has information about you, of what you like, what are your clothes sizes, what types of things you already have at home, etc., based on which other systems are able to give you more personalized offers. And I do believe that the whole crypto and the stablecoins side is going to be fixing the original sin of the internet, whereby money and internet were never really connected, and we thus have to be using all the intermediaries to transact, and we can bring this finally together. So I do believe that the technology is great. That said, my 4 years in the space have, and especially these last kind of weeks, because we just had a conference that we have been hosting for 4 years. So when we first got involved in the blockchain space, since we didn't really know many people, we figured that what if we would just throw a party for everyone that does anything in the region and come together, get to know each other, share values, etc. It ended up becoming a conference instead, and we have been running it for 4 years now, where once a year we bring together all the builders across the whole Nordic Baltic region. They come together, we have them speak their truth. We say no shilling. So basically, we don't have anyone talking about any coins or any projects that people can buy into, but rather like things people are building or concepts around it, or the regulations and everything else like that. So only builders coming together, and artists and like just fun people as well. And then we do this once a year, four times we have done it. And this last edition now really made me understand that the latest bear market has been super harsh. And as a result, there are only so few builders left. And a lot of people that really believe in the technology have kind of understood that this is not the full space by itself, because as we discussed it earlier, most businesses take 20 years to really mature, or at least a few years to get built. In Web3, people expect that if you don't get the coin go up within the next few days, it's dead. So as a result, you can't really build anything big unless you have big balls. You just like take the money like NFT Llama, convert it into dollars, and you say, see you in a few years, we're building, which is something kind of like you guys doing these days, finally. I have understood that the space is super hard to operate in. As a result, most non-crypto investors don't really want to get involved here. And therefore, if you're building anything real worldish, it can be hard to find investors, because on the one hand, the crypto people don't want to give it to you because you're not giving it back in a few days. And the normal people don't want to give it to you because they don't understand what you're doing. And as a result, today I learned that the 90cc shut down. I was like, they were the greats, like the goats. We were trying to do things with them. We were looking up at them, and they shut down because they just couldn't get the financing. I'm like, fuck. So basically, I have realized that Web3 in this like business sense isn't here at the moment, and maybe it's time to kind of rebrand as a builder. And I've seen some other builders do that as well. Not jump into the AI, but kind of look at, I'm building solutions. I'm doing e-commerce. It's like, I'm not doing Web3, I'm not doing AI, I'm doing e-commerce. And then kind of like build the thing, use the technology, of course, still hang around with the people that are also doing things in the space, but kind of position yourself differently. And on the one hand, this is super sad, because 4 years ago, we felt that we had found our community, our kind of club of people that are the cyberpunks looking at reinventing everything. But then the casino goers kind of ruined it. And I see a lot of people in Web3 feeling it, that the spark has kind of, or the focus has gone into some things that it shouldn't be, and the innovation-minded people have to find a new home now. So that's the pity part.
Dude, Spot on. Spot on. And here's the reality. And I'll put my brand behind this for sure. 3 years, like 5 years, I think is too much. Around 3 years, like what exists on crypto Twitter and the business models that have been built around hype cycle marketing, it's gonna go away. It's not a sustainable business model, right? The people, though, I will say this, I have seen a fundamental shift in the founders that have come on that are actually real builders, serial entrepreneurs, have exited companies, and they're using the technology to make their company better. That is the person that I want to talk to. And by the way, I always started this and with a clear mission statement of bringing back the lost art of genuine human connection, right? It's profoundly impactful in Web3, but I don't have 100,000 followers because it's not the shiny casino object when it comes to content, right? Because you still have a product market fit for content. This is the wrong space for me to be in, but I firmly believe in the technology. And what I'm getting at is, since I'm now considered an OG in the space, which is kind of funny because it was like 2020 when I found it, right? I have the opportunity to be one of the face of the content and the marketer that brings Web 2 to Web 3 as this convergence starts. And it's happening right now, and it will happen over the next 3 years. So what I'm saying is, I still urge you, I absolutely think the face of any company should be Web 2 focused, unless you're just trying to make a meme coin or trying to, get exit liquidity from making yet another empty NFT. Like, that's on you. I don't believe that. Back to the integrity thing, right? I mean, I think it's an appropriate way of fundraising if you are very clear this is exactly what you're doing, right? Like, you are fundraising for this ultimate goal, but don't expect anything. You're buying this because you believe in me as a human being. I think that model is interesting and could still work. And then I also do believe that the one thing that you touched on too is community, one, defined completely wrong in this space. People basically define community as a token-gated NFT Discord, which I think the power of community and brands and how you build a company has truly not been unlocked yet. Even Bored Ape, look at Bored Ape. I don't think they've done truly what they could have utilized at the peak of their community for what they did. They generated a ton of cash, which is awesome. And that PFP became kind of the de facto, if you had this, you were a cool kid. But this is the extent that I see a lot of, and it could go way deeper. And it's the reason why I have a plague PFP, right? Hans is thinking about the Web 2 practical applications. A lot of people don't like him in this space because he's pretty blunt and he talks about, a lot of this is vaporware. He knocks on KOLs. I think he does that because he knows the future is not this hype cycle KOL marketing. And he stands in belief of the fundamental thesis of why he's here is community. And I still do think it's not untapped. So I agree with everything you said, and I just added on a little bit. Let's do this.
I fully agree that community first is not just in everything, but it's something that most businesses, if they want to be relevant in 10, 20 years' time, have to unlock. Like, we are
100%.
Where the 1,000 true fans theory has never been as right as now. Like, unless you have the community, you're not going to be here, because last week Google announced that they are not even sending people to your website anymore. They're allowing the purchases to be done without going to the website, which means that whoever has the best SEO and the cheapest price wins. Or if you have the community, then the people will still come to you.
100%.
That's what we're looking for with Perxify.
I love it. And not only that, you now have generations that cannot stand corporate America, that understand that social awareness and social impact drives them. think about this. We have a generation of people that would much rather take. Now, listen. There is a percentage of entrepreneurs like yourself. I get that, but I'm talking about the masses. We have people that are willing to take 25% less pay for a better quality of life, right? Like these are the things that people are starting to value. And then with the advent of AI, we potentially have a world where a lot of wealth generation, energy, all of these things could be taken care of AI. And now what are you left with? You're left with exactly what we're doing: community circles, friendships, relationships, really finding out who you are as a human being. All of this stuff comes so critically important. And we're rapidly approaching this, right? Like the debate about AGI, they're like, oh, that's 10 years away. Now people are saying 5 years or less, right? Like who would have thought? This is insane. So it's a wild ride. I love this conversation. So many fascinating insights. Let's do this. We've almost been talking for 2 hours now, and it's been a beautiful conversation. Let's take the next 10 minutes, talk about what you're doing with Perxify. I got one last question that I ask every guest. It's a softball. Don't let your knees chatter. And then we'll wind it down. I'll give my final thoughts, and we'll call it a day. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Awesome. So hit me with Perxify. I like to start off when people are talking about what they're currently doing with just like 2-minute or less elevator pitch. What are you trying to do with Perxify?
So in the most simplest words, we are, on the one hand, building a platform where any business, whether those that are already operational or new ones, could set up a storefront of either new products that they have been producing or used products for the community to be selling between each other. And our main value driver comes in two forms. On the one hand, for the end customer, we are giving them a unified account that they can be going to any of those stores built on us or any other Web3 enabled store. And as they do purchases, the receipts get stored as NFTs. And those NFTs then have the information about what types of things they have been purchasing. And they're able to even leave later reviews whether they liked it or not. So based on that, we're able to then give them a personalized internet across all the different stores that they would go to. And if anyone would want, they could take this information and give them other values based on that as well. So the world we are imagining is that if you go to see the Fantastic Four movie now in July, and once you exit the cinema, you should get a ping from your favorite store saying that, oh, we know that you just went to see the movie. We think you would actually like this T-shirt with the 4 on it. And if you have allowed this for yourself, of course you can opt out. For example, let's say that for some reason Pornhub has built a store on us as well, and you might want everyone to know that you bought Pornhub stuff. Then you can just opt out, and that's where we believe that the end consumer has to be in power. But we at the same time do believe that this is the future, that has to go to the hyper personalized side. At the same time, as there might be reward programs built on top of the solution as well, then all the rewards that they might be getting by doing different deeds, we believe that sometimes you don't care about them, but we do know that someone cares about them. So what if you could just sell this unused voucher to someone else, or just give it away and someone else can use it? And you might get a few cents or a few dollars for that, or hundreds of dollars maybe in some cases. So that's the end user side. On the business side, we are primarily intending to be their kind of brain behind the operations. Coming with the marketing background, I know how hard it is to go through all this data about the products that you're selling, the competitor information, your customer information, etc. And even if you use the best BI tools, it still takes time, takes resources to get through this. And the corporate America and the big corporates, they can do that. Yeah. But the everyday mom and pop stores, or even your favorite local big chains, they don't often have this resources. They just either they don't have access to the people or they don't know how to do it. So what our main thing that we're doing is we're building this AI marketing agent that takes the data and gives you insights on what types of products you should be doing more, who are your best customers, so you should be able to reward them better, and maybe how to price your products better. So different types of models. So yeah, that's what we have been now building for the last year. We started with the focus on the community building and rewards, and we thought that this is the most important thing. And we still believe that. However, we realized that on the one hand, most businesses, in order for them to care about the community, they need to see a direct value of how they will be making their downline better. So that's where the AI comes in play. And at the same time, we saw that unfortunately, most of today's infrastructure in e-commerce and kind of internet in whole is aged out, and it cannot connect with these new age things. So yes, Shopify is almost like amazing, and they are doing a lot of great things, but they are only powering like 10% of all stores. Most e-commerce stores are built on custom codes, WooCommerce, Magento, all the legacy things. And we are just building something which would be for them either an alternative or maybe something that's add-on with their existing suite, and help companies on the one hand sell better and at the same time provide more value to their customers.
Beautiful, man. And couple thoughts here. One, what is your concept on, so you kind of talked about it as like rewarding customers for buying things, but I think blockchain actually gives us the first time in history to flip the script. I should be getting paid for my behavior. I should be getting paid for bringing value to companies. Right now, I'm getting screwed because you're just monetizing my data. You've extracted from me and you're making money off me, but I'm actually the true driver of the economy. Do you think about that?
Yep.
And what are your solutions?
The most, let's say, best marketing tool out there is the word of mouth. And we believe that this is the part which needs to be rewarded the most as well, because if you get a pleasurable experience and if you are then bringing someone else into our community, then on the one hand, you will always be their customer service. You'll be the person that they will be saying, you brought me in here. Like if this company screws up, you must be a bad friend for bringing me in. But at the same time, if you, the person you bring in is becoming a big revenue driver for the company, then why should you just get a $10 voucher once for doing the customer acquisition? We believe that this is where you should be getting kind of like, let's say, lifelong or at least some certain amount of additional value from it. So referral program, which is kind of on-chain and connects the users into the system, is very much something that we have been planning. We haven't yet built this out, but this is one of the top things in the roadmap to add. And this is where we believe that we can give actual value to people. And before that, we do see that there are some values of like these different types of airdrops and stuff where we are measuring anyway who are the early customers and their activities, etc. So at one point, we might be doing some sort of token type of thing. We're not sure yet. We have designed something, but we haven't planned when or if we would do it. But if we would do it, then it would probably be something to do with the as a treasury token that would kind of give the people say in how the ecosystem is working, and we would be then rewarding both the shops as well as the users.
Yeah. And I think that's my question is like, what you really described is affiliate marketing, right? Like I'm linking to a camera on my YouTube. I'm a camera expert and I really believe in this camera. Now I'm going to get a cut for every click, but it's like pennies, right? How does your concept expand on that or make that relationship better, if I'm understanding it right? Because it sounds like affiliate marketing to me. Is that correct, or am I off?
Well, affiliate marketing is if you're a professional selling it to everyone else. Referral marketing is if you're a friend giving a recommendation to another friend. So it's kind of the same
so that's
thing
how you're
lower
defining
level.
it. Okay.
And how we expand on it is that we understand that there are things that motivate people and things that aren't motivating people. And we do understand that giving a person a $5 voucher discount if they spend another 20 isn't something that motivates them to do more work. Most likely will actually motivate them to do less work. That's something that we have been researching, how to kind of benefit people. And so that's something that we are designing into the process to make sure that the value that on the one hand, as Jeff Bezos says, your margin is my opportunity, which means that we cannot be taking too high margin from the stores. Otherwise, someone else comes in and takes less and takes over. But at the same time, we also see that the stores themselves can't have too high margins without giving back to their customers or their biggest fans in some ways. So, but of course, it will be individual on most businesses level, where we can just give them recommendations with the AI marketing agent.
Dude, love it. And what I'm really hearing is you're redefining the reward system on a personal level, and which is opening up even more opportunity, because in essence, you're now not just wedded to KOLs or influencers. You're actually able to tap the entire market and understand a more intricate reward system that creates a better circular process, which is interesting.
Yep.
Let's do this, man. I have a ton more questions, but I really have to wind down.
We can always do a part two in the future.
Oh, dude, this is I told you this is the beginning of a friendship. We've just built some beautiful. I have more insight on you than probably many people have that you have had even, multiple interactions with, and we've had one deep conversation. This is why what we do is so important. One question, and then I'll ask my formal last question, which is, tell me about the next 6 to 12 months. What does that look like for you? What are you excited about in Web3 and with your company?
So in the next month or so, or hopefully in the next few weeks, we will be launching the first marketplace on Perxify. And then, of course, then there will be another few months of learning as we go with that. So that's the exciting thing of the thing that we have been building for a year now is almost here to be launched. Yeah, let's see how it will be evolving. We of course have internal plans, both in terms of how much revenue we hope to get, how many companies we hope to attract, etc. But I think the most important thing there is that we want to see this thing live and at least cover its own costs for the first step, so that we can show our wives at home that we haven't been spending the last year just playing board games and drinking beer at the office, but there has been actual value being generated. And then everything from there on. Meanwhile, I'm super excited that it's going to be my oldest and daughter's last kindergarten year, which means that we have to make sure that we go to a couple of cool places to travel before the school starts and it becomes more structured. So we'll be doing some traveling as well, hopefully.
Love it, man. And I'm pretty excited get this content out for you. It'll probably mirror up with the release of what you're doing. Man, it's been an amazing conversation. I just love doing this, man. Love doing this. And so the last question here is, you've run conferences, you've probably spoken yourself. You've been in lots of Twitter spaces, maybe been on other podcasts. Really just interested about reflections on your experience here compared to other things that you've witnessed or been a part of.
I believe that you go much deeper than most conversations, and that's actually the part which I often love about Americans. Even though it can be said that the Americans often seem superficial, I kind of feel Europeans are more superficial. Since I just had recently another discussion with one American VC in live where we had 45 minutes and we needed to talk business, but we actually talked 40 minutes of just life. And these type of conversations which go there really not only are they great moments for myself to kind of understand what's happening, but it also helps to kind of bring out some learning points for hopefully the audience that maybe help them to build the next big things as well, which they might not be getting if they just listen to the 20 minutes of what's the latest thing.
Dude, thank you so much for that feedback, because what you just described is what I'm going for, right? And if that's what you felt, I've accomplished my goal today. And as you know, I love what I do. And, reflecting back on our conversation, one, I do say this a lot, but it means a lot to me, is like, you were vulnerable at moments. You thought deeply, and you had meaningful replies. And thank you for sharing that, right? That alone in a live environment like this is very hard to do. We've had comments, we've consistently grown in viewership, which means I think what you were saying was resonating with people. We even had questions about the books that you were talking about. So thank you for doing that. Some things that stood out to me of the conversation is, loved our conversation about risk. Urge people to go back and listen to that section alone. But you gave me some really good insights around how you interpreted video games and my constant internal struggle with, how do I balance risk, family, being an entrepreneur, having a day job like I do too, because I'm not comfortable sacrificing it all for a dream quite yet. Like, I like the balance, I like a standard of living, and I'm okay with that right now. But your interpretation of it always just helps shed light, and I've learned a lot from you, man. Like I said, I went to school, but ultimately, one of the things that stuck out to me the most is just your demeanor. Like, you're very calm, cool, and collective. And I can tell when you talk, you mean it, and you're deeply thinking about it, and you believe in what you're saying. And that's just back to the superficial thing, right? You showed your true, authentic self today, and you did a brilliant job at it.
There's a sign that my parents gifted me at some point, saying that when you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. And it's on the window looking at me next to the computer. And I think this is the part which I'm trying to instill in myself.
Dude.
My personal motto that I kind of chose myself 15 years ago is dream, risk, have fun, and never regret.
Dude, couldn't think of a better way to cap in this conversation, because that's exactly what I felt. That's what I believe in. And I think it's one of the many reasons we had a very fruitful conversation. So thank you for that. And I'm just going to cap it at this. If you tell your truth, you don't have to remember anything, people. And that's what we did here today. And we freaking love you all. MikeyG and Sander are out.